Welcome to the Murali Daily, day 3 of the test. India 257 for 6 in reply to England's 576. Lots of cricket to discuss, including Root's incredible catch, Kohli's wicket and Pant's knock. And we're going to give you our Shane Warne bald 11 apparently as well. I'm Mark Machado. I'm joined by Owen Blackhurst, Matt Owen and Tommy Stewart. The Murali End is powered by Sam's Chicken and Lion Beer. Before we start, let me remind you to hit the subscribe button, tell a friend, and if you want to contact us on Twitter, use the hashtag Uncle Johnson or follow us at Murali End on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Lads, how you doing?
Fine, great.
Good.
I'm speaking for everyone.
Welcome, Matt, to the pod. I would like Owen's first episode. First of all, I should say I have not even read up or looked. I've slept through everything. I set my alarm for 6:30 this morning. I was up, so I've not been drinking this weekend. The first time I've done that in about 10 years. So I was up eating ice cream and donuts till about 4 a.m., which was great.
That's living, mate. That's living.
Yeah, it is living. And so I've not seen anything. Not had chance. I was hoping that someone could cover today, but it turns out the disadvantage of not drinking is that I'm the only one who's not hungover. So I have to fill in, even though I've not watched any of the fucking cricket. But Matt, welcome to your first episode. Just want to get out of the way if you've got any general cricketing sort of grievance or anything about shit or good about cricket you want to get off your chest.
Well, at the moment, in this
just
game?
anything. Anything.
No, not. Well, yeah, quite a lot actually. Yeah, I mean, looking at this, looking at the coverage of the game. I mean, it's great to have it back on terrestrial TV, but I'm kind of I've got a real thing about BBC not even bothering to pitch in. I've got a real thing about that, and they might have bits of the 100, but I just can't believe that they're not even throwing a few coins at it, just making an effort. I mean, there's a great story about the 1992 World Cup. Apparently, they were given a chance to buy the whole thing and cover it. I think Sky took it up in the end, and they just turned it down. And I know for a fact that at least one of the heads of sport, the BBC, just hated cricket. And that might well be the case at the moment. So yeah, well, fair play to Channel 4, but I think we should be looking, and I know there's a lot of money involved. I know Sky said that one of the reasons they didn't pitch in for it is they were already spending 200 million on it or something, on the game that is. So I'd just like to see the Beeb get a bit more involved.
Thing is with the Beeb though, they've done their bollocks sending Attenborough around the world for the last 15 years, haven't they? You know what I mean?
That's true, yeah.
There's none of the planet left that he can tell us about. There's nothing left.
He's been to Chennai. There was no point getting him to go out there for this.
Send him to the fucking moon or knock it on the head.
Yeah.
Between that and Peaky Blinders, we're getting no cricket for a long time.
Yeah.
Peaky Blinders, man. I mean, what?
They might have done it if Amazon or HBO had partnered with them. That might have been the only way they could have funded it. Like,
thing is, how long? Hopefully the Attenborough money will go into cricket once he's. But like, I mean, it's like that Austin Powers thing. It's just like, and I'm not saying, God, I'm going to get cancelled for this, but you know, when Austin Powers, when he's using that woman to protect himself from being shot, and then basically, Austin Powers using it as a shield, and he just goes, "Why won't you just die?" And that is basically what I'm saying to David Attenborough. So there can be cricket on the beach.
I like the way this has gone on David Attenborough. This is fantastic.
I'd love to hear him. I mean, he'd be a great commentator, though. Can you imagine? I'd love to hear him commentate on a test.
Well, he'd be better than some of the ones we got at the moment. The mighty Sonny Gavaskar. Jesus Christ Almighty. I mean, it's funny.
Yeah. We said we were going to leave Cook alone, Matt, and basically have a go at Sunil Gavaskar. So the floor is yours. Have at him.
Well, yeah, him, and I'm just trying to think of a worst Indian commentator. That's it, Ravi Shastri. That's another one. I mean, I suppose it's watching too much IPL, really. I mean, they're so keen on their. I mean, today, I thought Pant played a wonderful innings. Yeah. But when he got to his 50, or was it? Who's the opener, this really solid guy? When he got to his 50, it sounded like they were watching Bradman scoring 250 or something like that. Just fuck's sake, calm down.
Yeah. What do you mean? So basically, as I've said, as a supposed cricket, somewhat cricket journalist, and I've seen none of it, but I don't regret my ice cream and donut choices. But how was, I don't know, just someone? Well, do you three want to just sum up the day and, like, I don't know, best performances for both teams and best knock? What did Pan and what did he get?
I don't think it could have gone much better from an England perspective, to be honest. I mean, they started the day, got a few runs on the board, but they did that thing where they batted for a key few overs, which meant there was only 10 minutes between the change, right? And then India come in, and I have no fucking idea what it was going on in some of their opener batsmen's heads. Like, I felt like Rohit and Gill basically kind of gave their wickets away. I don't know what you think about that.
I don't think it's giving their wickets away. I think it shows the absolute, if there's any more doubt in anyone's minds about the absolute top class of Jofra Archer, then what he did this morning, because him and Bumrah bowl at similar speeds, right? But the quality of his bouncer and his ability to slip his pace with no discernible change in his action terrifies people.
Yes.
He had Kohli on the gloves. He's done for both openers. He's bowling cutters. He's rolling his fingers over it. All the variations, he's getting it to shape away. He just showed yet again why he has to be protected, and why all the dickheads on Twitter with motorbikes as their avatar and Union Jacks in their bowling who tear into him who tear into him anytime he doesn't bowl 90 mile an hour for a spell. They shouldn't be allowed to watch him.
You know what I mean? Why that is. I wonder why they don't like him.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah.
It's because the county he plays for, isn't it?
Well, but the rest of us, we feel very protective of him because of the shit he's had to endure of that type of people. So for the rest of us, we're like, imagine not having him. I mean, he's two years into his international career. He's won a World Cup.
Barely.
He's bowled those spells in the Ashes. He's played 13 tests. And everyone expects. I mean, he was unbelievable, and then he allowed Bess to come on and do what he did. And I didn't see a lot of Bess because I was in and out. So if anyone saw Bess, then
he bowled well. I thought he was very tired at the end, which is only to be expected. These guys don't play in these conditions, and this is how you find real Test cricketers when they're playing in totally foreign conditions. Jack Leach had one of those days. I thought Pant's innings was great. He reminds me of Gilchrist a bit. He's just got so much belief in.
I can see that.
When he was hitting the ball over long on, it was just as soon as his feet move, that ball sailing over the boundary. He's a fantastic player.
Just timing.
It was an ideal.
Do you know you have the?
Sorry.
God, no. I was just going to say. You know those players that don't play for your team that you kind of follow, that you want to do well. Pan is one of them for me. Like, I just even if he's playing well against your team, you just kind of like, I don't know. And he's quite like you say, he's quite fun as well. Like he's quite like he's one of those players. He enjoys the game and he makes the game enjoyable to watch. Sorry, Matt.
I was about to say a similar thing. It was an ideal day because England did incredibly well. And you're thinking, well, if someone's going to score some runs, I'd rather it's someone who does it and it's pleasing on the eye. And he absolutely smashed it. I thought
there was a moment when Pant and Pujara were at the crease, and Pujara was looking like he was having one of those days again where he was just going to stick around and not score runs for overs and overs and overs. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this has got all the hallmarks of those final couple of tests against Australia, right? Where these two are just at the crease and they're just going to end up batting for like the next 2 days and get themselves to either to save the test or to get it into it'd be difficult for them to bat for 2 days and win it. But you know what I mean? I was just like, they're about to turn this round, aren't they? But then it all kind of flipped on its head again. And I thought that was all because of Root's over, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Dom Bess is also a lucky cricketer because to get one off Pope's shoulder at short legs, spooning straight up to Burns, he might end up being one of those bowlers. I mean, we talked about Botham before we came on air. The second half of Botham's career, he took a lot of lucky wickets just by being Ian Botham. He'd taken with long ups, and Dom Bess takes a lot of wickets with a lot of average balls, but he keeps on going. And that he might just be a lucky, he might just be a talismanic player, you know, and you can't discount that. But fair play to him. He kept on going. I think, like you said, towards the end of the day, he's bowling a lot of pies, very, very tired. But they didn't really capitalise because they couldn't, because, you know, Sundar was trying to do a job and they couldn't really go after it.
No, he was.
I'm quite critical of. Sorry, it's my rubbish signal. But I just quickly on Bess, I'm quite critical of him, and I kind of like, I say like I don't get it with him, but I think you're right, Owen. There's something in the dressing room or something about his game that I don't know, kind of like you say, talismanic, like maybe makes things happen. Like he's probably quite good in the dressing room. He seems like a good lad, good team player, very positive, and obviously he can do a bit of a bat. He's nothing special with the ball, but again, he's young, and for a spin bowler, you can develop that. I think he's just going to be one of those guys that they want around, and he's going to be sort of a mainstay in the England squad for the next few years, which I'm fine with. Like if he's, you know, I think Jack Leach is technically a better spin bowler, but Bess seems to be the guy that they fancy and going forward. And just quickly on Joffrey, I want to say, like, just because I fucking love him as well. Every like Australian cricketing perspective I listen to, like Adam Collins and the great cricketer lads who will be coming on the pod at some point in the next few weeks, they all just say like, what the fuck is wrong with you English complaining about him? He is the best bowler he's the best, like him and Pat Cummins, but like he's a generational talent. Like you are so fucking lucky to have him. If he bowls a spell of 82 miles per hour, he can't bowl 95 miles per hour for a whole fucking 5 days.
You know what I hope,
Test
Tom?
cricket is.
I hope that Matthew Wade is still in the Aussies team for the Ashes. He probably won't because he's shit, but I hope he is. I hope he is because he gave Jofra a lot of abuse for changing BBL teams because they used to play together, didn't he? And I hope Jofra gets him on a real bouncy one at Perth or something like that, and absolutely goes after him because no one deserves a shellacking from Archer with a new ball more than Matthew Wade.
Yeah. I'll get back to Bess. What I really liked about him today, he was bowling a brilliant attacking line when he was just hanging the ball outside the off stump, and it was a bit swan-like at times. But then he got tired, which is only natural. He's only a young lad, and spin bowlers tend to come good, like with Swan, later on in his career. Well, mind you, they didn't pick Swan because they couldn't manage him. So
someone knocked him out. Didn't someone knock Swan out on his debut tour to South Africa, and he didn't make it back in for another 10 years?
Well, I think Swan could have got about 500 wickets, but the management, as usual, couldn't be bothered to manage.
No, but he is a bell end, Matt.
Oh, he's a dick. Oh yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. But to be quite honest with you, I mean, I know for a fact that Ian Botham's a dick. You know, it's like, let's face it, than that. Yeah. So there's been a lot of them. What about Kevin Peterson? Kevin Peterson, for Christ's sake. Yeah. I mean, man alive.
But cricket, more than any other sport, is blessed with a huge number of dickheads.
I love it.
Well, it's a team. Bless, yeah. It's a team sport. It's an individual sport masquerading as a team sport. So it's like, it's just full of fucking egos who have to you know. It's not like tennis, like where they're egotists and self-consumed, and they're allowed to be that way. Cricket, they have to try and pretend to like people and get on with people, but they can't. They're all fucking narcissists, especially batsmen. Top order batsmen.
Well, Kohli's one for start. I mean, I think I love Kohli, you know, because he, you know, the way he gives it to the Australians for starters.
Yeah.
But then, you know, it's like he's brilliant. He is a top man. I mean, he's like. I was watching a program about. I was watching a BT documentary about Australia-India series, and they said he's the guy who's really giving it to them. And it was so different. It was so different 40 years ago, or even 30 or 20 years ago. I mean, Kohli is just giving it to them all the time, and I love that.
Have you ever seen him bat in the flesh? Have you ever seen him bat live?
Yeah, I've seen him.
Unfortunately, not.
Christ alive! I saw him at Old Trafford in the World Cup against the West Indies, and he hits such unconventional shots that don't seem possible. The way he gets on the top of the bounce with the white ball, it was just incredible. But saying that, didn't look himself today, did he? He was trying to do a job, and he looked like he was trying to dig in. And you know, fair play to Bess, he worked him out. I don't know if you saw that. Him walking off with Rory Burns and saying, "This is how I'm going to get him, and I'm going to keep bowling in there, and that's how I'm going to get him." And sure enough, his bat face is quite closed, pops one up to short leg and he's gone. And I think Kohli was 11 off 40 odd balls, and that's not Virat Kohli, is it? He needs to attack. You know,
Guys,
the reason earlier I said I thought he gave his, not just him, but a few of them gave their wickets away because I thought they started to play within themselves. I thought they, I think the pressure, obviously, there's a huge amount of pressure on an Indian international cricketer at all times, but probably on Kohli right now, at no point in his career has he had this much pressure because he's coming back into the team after a historic and seismic victory, and he comes straight in as captain, and people are going, well, maybe he shouldn't be captain. So maybe there's things. I always think with like the top sportsmen, most of their performances and 9% of it's in their head, and maybe that's what we saw a bit of today.
Well, especially in Test cricket, and I just want to say, I saw Kohli once, Matt, and it was Matt Owen, and it was Old Trafford. It was the day England played Colombia in the World Cup, and I probably I probably prefer cricket to football. Well, I do prefer cricket to football, but it was that World Cup. It was just and I was considering selling my ticket to the cricket. It was T20 England versus India, Old Trafford. And I'm so glad I didn't, because I managed to see the extra time and penalties for the World Cup. But yeah, seeing Kohli in the flesh and surrounded by the crowd was 80% Indian. It was a sellout Old Trafford. I was in the party stand, and it was me and my 5 of us, me and my white mates, and just all around us, the whole party stand was just full of Indians, just with their horns, and just giving us so much shit. And just I don't think Kohli even got a big score. But I feel like I've never seen. It's almost like the things he does. You just see someone, they have an aura, and you're just like, what is it about him? It's magic. You just can't put your fingers on it. So.
I think
I love Kohli as well.
I think you've touched on something there, which is why live cricket can be a better experience, is because you can sit with each other and you can have a laugh with the other fans. And it's probably been said a lot, and it's probably a bit of a cliche. But you can. It's if anyone's bad, it's normally the England fans. I was looking to go to the first day of the Ashes. I took my old man, first day of the last Ashes. So Steve Smith, first test back, booed him in. You're going to boo him in.
Yeah.
But after that,
he's a panto villain, isn't he?
But after that, you have to admire what he went on to do and score a ton. And there was this Brummie sat behind me. Every time he scored a hitter for Chait, he's a fucking Chait, he's a fucking Chait. And I had to turn around in the end and say, "Can you just shut up?" He's done. Booed him in. He's just scored a ton in those circumstances. You've got to applaud it. If you like cricket, applaud it. If you don't, just fuck off out because you're ruining it for everyone else.
It's I was lucky enough to be at the going back a bit, 79 World Cup final when Viv scored a ton.
Wow.
I saw him quite a lot, and a guy called Collis King smashed 80 off us. But we were doing well at one time. But Viv is just, he's the greatest player I've ever seen. His walk to the wicket was worth the admission. And my team was Somerset, and he was superb. He was something else. But
he's man alive.
But you're talking about the presence. I think Kohli is kind of like that. This is why I don't buy Steve Smith, because I don't give a shit.
You hate him, don't you, Matt?
He goes out the back. He's an Australian for starters, so he's definitely, it's definitely, he's a non-starter,
This is why, Matt. This is why I wanted Matt on, because he's not one of these modern cricket fans. He's like, oh, watch like me. Oh, watch the Test. They seem all right actually. These Aussies. Oh, listen to Australian cricket podcasts. No, they're all cunts.
I fucking hate them. Honestly, they're. When they retire and some of them seem all right. There's guys like. I've always loved Tomo because he's mad. He was a nut, and he still is. And but there's people that they're a bit suspect, like Gilchrist. He was a wonderful cricketer, but he was always a bit of a swat, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And Hayden the bully, and Ponting the dickhead.
They're a bit like
Glenn McGrath.
What's that?
Glenn McGrath, what a cock end he is.
Oh yeah, when he started mixing it with Lara, that was funny, wasn't it? Have you seen that video? There were some things said which Lara didn't have knowledge of what was happening. Well, I won't mention it because it was a bit horrible. But anyway, McGrath, all that Australian team were bullies. They were real bullies. And in that 2005 series, I think it was the T20 we played against them. And Hayden was trying it on with Paul Collingwood. He was a bit of an hard nut. And Collingwood was saying, no, it's like you're on our patch now. And even though it was a T20, he said, we're going to put a marker down here. And they didn't take a step backwards. And you've got to do that with Australians. You do not take a step back with them.
Well, McGrath said, didn't he? Sorry to butt in. I love Brian Lara. Any chat about Brian Lara is going to get me ranting. But McGrath said, he said, if I had to pick the hardest to bowl to out of Lara and Sachin, it would be Lara, because on his day, if he wanted to, there's just no way you could get him out. If he didn't want to get out, he wasn't getting out. Whereas he said, I thought I had a chance against Sachin. Yeah,
I think there was a thing recently, they were talking about the greatest player in the last 20 or 30 years. I mean, Tendulkar we all know what a phenomenal player he was. But what makes it for me is Lara absolutely destroyed Warne and Murali. He destroyed Murali in Sri Lanka. Yeah. He was...
That's sacrilege, Matt.
You can't say that, Matt. Sorry, you're cancelled.
600 runs in a 600 runs in a 3-test series, wasn't it?
Don't get me wrong, but he did. He mullered him, and... you don't do that, do you? I mean, he was fantastic. He was a fantastic cricketer.
Lara won for Warwickshire. He had Joe Bloggs, a sadly departed jeans company. Joe Bloggs had said to him, "Whatever score you get, there's $1 million contract, and we'll just name the jeans after your number." And he got fucking 501, so he couldn't lost £1 million.
I love that. I've got a Brian Lara story. Because I used to live down in Sussex, and Warwickshire were playing that year when he scored all those runs. And I went down to Hove, local ground, and Sussex playing Warwickshire. Absolutely packed ground on a Sunday league game. And with 5 minutes to go, it was like the announcer said, there is one change to the programme. And it was insert Trevor Penny for Brian Lara. So Lara was injured at the last minute, and they got everyone in the ground. And we're all sitting here going, fuck off. It's like they got everyone in there before actually said Lara had
fucking hell.
Pulled a muscle, got pissed or whatever. And it was just, I never saw him play. That was, I saw Aravinda De Silva play. He was, But I think Kohli's, I'd love to see him back.
Yeah.
Do you think Kohli's up there with Lara and Sachin?
I think so.
Look at his runs.
All
formats.
I think he's.
So I know. The only reason I asked that, right, because I know it sounds quite naive, but I've heard a few Sri Lankan people try and put Aravinda or even Sangakkara into that kind of bracket, and I'm like, I don't remember the beginning of Aravinda's career, but I remember the beginning of Sanga's career, and he had to get to the point where he becomes totally world class. It was where with Sachin and Lara, they were world class from the moment they made their debuts almost.
The asterisk alongside Sangakkara, and it's a very, very small one, is he did play a lot of his tests. He played a lot more tests against the Bangladeshis and people like that, which shouldn't take away from it, but scoring double hundreds at test level is not easy, whoever you're against. But if you look at where and when Lara scored his runs, I mean, Sachin scored him everywhere against dominated. Lara always stood up. In Australia, he'd been man of the series. Like you say, he went to Sri Lanka, scored 600 runs in a 3-test series or whatever it was against Murali when he was at his peak. Came to England with the moving ball and did it at home, did it away. So, he's my favourite just because of how aesthetically pleasing he is. Perhaps the most aesthetically pleasing sportsman of all time with that backlift, I think.
I'm going to say I'm just going to throw a hat in the ring, and again, I'm making another bold statement as one of the younger contributors of this podcast. In terms of pure class and aesthetically pleasing and runs and everything else, Joe Root. I think he's the next couple of years, he's in that bracket. Honestly, he's not your classic. I don't know what a classic English batsman is, but he's one of the most beautiful players to watch. He's averaging. Sorry, Mark.
He'd be averaging 70 to 90 if he was Australian or Indian, Joe Root, if he didn't have to play so many tests in England.
I was just going to say the only thing against the thing about Joe Root for me is he fits into that Sangha kind of category where the kind of schools and the kind of innings Joe Root plays now, Lara and Sachin were playing when they were like in the early 20s, and it's
so is Root though. So is Root.
maybe.
He started this. You look at his highlights. ECB release, like he was doing it from pretty much day one in Test cricket. Like he's other the only bad form he's had was like 2019 and 2020. That's the only blip he's had in his career, and he's still getting between 50 and 100 most matches. He just wasn't converting them to centuries. Other than that, his career's like it's from the offs. It's a kid. He's been incredible to watch.
I've never seen an England batsman with footwork like this ever.
Yeah.
Peterson could destroy an attack. Gow was beautiful to watch when I was growing up. I loved Athers for his grit, Nasser for his grit, Stewie for his ability to counter attack. But I've never seen footwork like Joe Root. Never.
We should probably wrap it up there, lads. Looks like we've got another couple of good Test cricket days left in this, I'd imagine. Well, maybe not actually. India might be all out pretty quickly. Just very quickly before I leave, who's had a bigger influence in this Test match, Root or Archer?
Root.
I might edit this bit out then.
Only because I've not watched today.
I was hoping one of you might say Archer.
Well, no, they've done it.
I'll say Archer.
Well, they've done it together. Root has set the platform. Big first innings runs. We won't mention, Mark, that you wanted him to retire at 350. We should probably erase that from.
I still think that there's a serious risk of this Test that heading towards no result.
Shut up.
And at that point, then you go, well, it was brilliant cricket to watch, but almost if India go on and win the series, if they get then. This is a missed opportunity from England. I think there's a large element of Test cricket of actually having to manage the game, manage the 5 days, and figure out, right, this is what I've got to do. And I always feel commentators over egg how easy it is to get 20 wickets.
I think they had in that thing in their mind at this ground on the last tour when England scored 470 and India scored 700 and God knows how many, and they won the game. But, that'll be the management, you see.
New ball tomorrow morning. Archer coming in. I think if they can get through, get through them in an hour and a half, bat for a couple of sessions. Yeah. They won't enforce the follow on. Bat for a couple of sessions and then try and get 4 or 5 sessions at them. I think that's what they'll try and do.
That's your prediction. That's our prediction.
There we go. Right.